when you were going through those hard times and some of it being in a very public, forum, was it like, I'm going to just be vulnerable? We were talking about our guests coming on the show and being vulnerable and just, here's my story, here's what's going on. Or was it just, I'm going to play pretend and deal with it when I get home?
So a lot of the times I had to just play pretend. I was on some shows where I could be, once I came out, which I did on the radio, which was pretty cool. And years ago, that was more of a big deal. Today, it's like yawn, whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I heard this before.
Yeah, no. Yeah. But at the time, say 20 some years ago, when I came out on the air and they were egging me on, they could tell, at first, like they would start to say I was bisexual. And then, the next thing I'm out. And anyway, once I kind of let all of the onion layers peel away, I felt like I could just talk about anything. And I think that showing those vulnerabilities really does help. It's cathartic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It definitely is.
So having something like that, and now it's therapy or coaching, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Let those people hear some of the things so that other people don't have to. Your friends like this story again.
That's so funny. I see. I'm more of a journaler, not like I don't talk to my friends too much about. I mean, I'm an open book if they ask, but I try to be conscious, especially in this stage in my life. Right, my friends are married, they have homes, they have babies. It's like they don't need my problems, So, but my friends are so supportive, and I can always go to them. But I try not to be that person that talks about every little thing. I'm like, Tracy, write this in your journal. You'll be over it by tomorrow. You know what I mean?
I agree with you. I want to start. I have certain friends that know everything and have heard everything. And so from time to time, we'll tap into that again. But for the most part, as I've grown and just evolved, I start to think about that myself and like work through things. I also think it is important to talk to people.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes that third party opinion can be huge.
If you get the right therapist or coach, they'll give it back to you and let you know what to work on.
Absolutely. And that's what I need, because I'm a little bit of a firecracker sometimes. So I like when someone puts me in my place. It's good for me. It's a good thing. So I think that, and then starting the podcast for you, it's like your little piece of radio, but different, right? Yes. You're kind of getting back to your roots in a way, but doing it by your own rules and by your own terms. And I think that's really inspiring. So when did you first have that initial thought where Bold Like Her was something that you wanted to start?
So I thought about it a little bit after my daughter. I was telling you that my daughter was kind of telling me a few years ago, podcasts were starting to get really big, and she listened to a lot, and you should listen to this and you're going to like it. And so I said, I don't know what I would, focus on. I didn't want it to be about real estate. I just thought that would be too small of an audience. And I thought I wanted something else that would kind of be different for me in my life. Right. So I had done a show in Philadelphia post like the big career. I did this radio show called Networking Philadelphia, where I would have business owners come on and talk about what they were doing. And people just light up when they talk about their story, their business, their little baby. And so that's the direction that I went. The light switch didn't go off until I was on someone else's podcast like this. You have no idea how good it feels to put headphones on and get in front of a microphone. It just lights me up so much.
Yeah.
And once I did that with a friend of mine, I was like, boom, 2 weeks later, first podcast was out.
Holy smokes.
Yeah.
It just hit you. You're like, I'm not wasting any more time. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. And I had a friend who joined me in the beginning of it, and it just wasn't her, wasn't up. Something that just lit her up the way it did me, like a passion project. So she left after the beginning, first few episodes. It was totally cool. I understood that she didn't want to do it. I had a little nervousness for a second, like, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? Right. And then I was, I think I've done this before.
Yeah. I think it's natural to have that slight moment of panic, but you're a professional. I mean, you've been doing this long enough. And I do think that there's really something special about, sort of answering to yourself. And I think that it's almost a nice cushion to have the safety net of a partner and a co-host, but also that's someone you have to run everything by and who has to be pulling their weight too. And so it's kind of nice when it's just like, if I want to do it this way, I just do it however I want, right? And I make the call, I make the executive decisions, and one less person scheduled to work around.
Exactly.
So it's nice, but it is scary. It's scary.
In the beginning, it was a little scary, and then I just stepped into it. And I think within a couple of episodes, I was up and running. She did a lot of the social media aspect of it.
That's nice.
And I was like, oh, how do I even make a tile that shows my guest and all this stuff? I didn't know what to do.
Canva's my best friend.
Exactly. Yeah. Eventually, I just got it, and literally everything about doing the podcast, you can look up, how to do it, all the different things, like how to get it on different platforms, how to create certain things for your guests.
Yeah.
And there's always new things going on too. So I try to just always stay up with it. And now the video aspect of it is so big, right? And I'm so intrigued by everything that you do here. You have no idea. It's so cool.
I don't do any of it. It's all Hurley. PETA, thank you for all that you do. He doesn't have a microphone, but he's saying you're welcome, Tracy, of course. But I'm curious too. It is true. You can look it up and anyone can start a podcast. What do you say to people who kind of have that initial reaction of, oh, well, a podcast's a dime a dozen these days? Because it seems like anyone can just start a podcast, and a lot of people are doing that. How do you feel like yours either stands out or you sort of mitigate some of those comments? Because I think that you get them from the haters every once in a while. I mean, I sure do. I'm sure everybody does at some point or another, like, oh, I roll another podcast, right? What made you sort of kind of get through that and take that type of criticism, so to speak, better moving forward?
So when I first put it out, and I shared it on Facebook too, right? And a lot of my old radio friends are there, and somebody who's still in the business or just getting out or something put that exact comment on there. Everybody's doing it. Good luck, right? And I'm not looking to be Alex Cooper or something,
That's what I always say.
But see, I always identify with the young, just so you know, just in case, I date younger. I I hang out with younger people. I don't know. But anyway, so no, I think she's amazing what she's doing. I just love it. I'm just a big fan, right? But yeah, that wasn't my idea to do that. It was just to have this platform. It was something for me to be creative and to tap into that former part of myself. And it feels so good when I go in and I do it, and I'm doing the editing myself. And it's just the creative side of me that I missed. So I just let that roll, when somebody said that.
You have to.
Yeah. And I have seen a number of people that I know start a podcast, right? And I'm using air quotes, that lasted for like 1 or 2 episodes. And, listen, they probably don't realize the work that goes into it, right?
Ain't that the truth? Because it is a lot of work. I say all the time when people ask me, I could not do it without Big Night. That's for sure, because they help so much with the back end. Yes, with the back end, like post-production and whatnot. But even the legwork that I'm doing is it's a lot of work, and so you really have to love it. And yes, like I was saying before, sometimes there's still those days where you're just like, your energy's not there, but what gets me through that is I really love what I do, and it is my thing for myself. And that's, I think, what just powers and drives you. And that's the big difference for the shows that continue on, 2-3 years down the road, and the ones that have only a handful of episodes out. And there's nothing wrong for people for, giving it a shot.
Exactly.
Good for you. But I just think it's more of to say, don't try to just credit somebody off the bat. Give somebody a chance and see where it's going to go, because you never know. You never know. And you've clearly proved some of those people wrong, because here you still are, and you're doing great. The show's fantastic, and
thank you.
You're doing a lot of good. So screw them.
And same. You are too. And like you said, there doesn't mean that there aren't moments of doubt for us.
Yeah.
And especially in the beginning, right? What is this? Who's listening? What am I going to do with this? And now you probably take time to look back. I was looking at your TikTok, like 10,000 followers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's amazing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. And I definitely remember it'd be like 4 views back in the day.
That's where I am.
You'll get there. You'll get there.
My TikTok isn't super focused right now. It's like real estate podcasts.
TikTok's hard. And who knows? It's going to be banned in like 3 weeks at this point anyway. So it might not even matter. But yeah, I do think it's just trial and error and a lot of just being patient and trying to figure it out. And I think as long as you really believe in what it is that you're doing and you keep putting in as much effort as you can into it, that will show and it will shine and it will be rewarding. I really believe that.